I'm Kris Beaulne. I'm the learning support teacher here at Marie Sharpe Elementary School, and this is the sensory room.
Thank you. Can you tell us a little bit about the need that is being met in the school with the creation of this room?
Sure. What it's helping kids do is self-regulate. So when they're having problems, maybe in the classroom or on the playground, they can come into the space and have a few minutes. Sometimes it cools them down, sometimes it wakes them up, sometimes it is just a break from the space. Maybe they've gotten into an altercation, or maybe they feel like they are about to get into an altercation. So this space just allows them somewhere to go to just sort of escape. What we found was kids were running away, they were hiding behind doors, under tables, where else were they going? You know, anywhere we could find, and they were hiding all over the place. So we thought that this was a good space for them to just come and get their needs met.
Great. Can you show us around the room a little bit and briefly
Sure.
share some of the most valuable components?
Sure. Okay, well, let's start here behind you. So this is a tent. So this helps with kids who are, and I just bought it at IKEA, like a $30 tent. And it helps kids who need that hiding spot, the quiet spot. Often we find kids in here and we don't even know they're in here. So although they are supposed to come with an adult, they'll go in there, they close the door, I put some lights in there. Sometimes they'll turn off the light. So it's just a place to hide. So if somebody needs dark or a small space to sort of get into that crunch sort of mode. So that's the tent, and again, it was just at IKEA for $30 or so. We have a rocking chair. This is mostly the educational assistants tend to sit in here, but you know, some kids need a rock, so they need to rock. So we often have children who will rock away in there. We'll have books if they like to have books. We had a young boy with autism a few years ago who really obsessed over books. So we always have some books available for those kids who want to have a really quiet time and read. And sometimes we'll have the EAs in here and they'll just quietly read to one child as well. And that's often a calm down sort of activity for them. Over here we have all kinds of different sensory tools for touch, feel, sound. So those kinds of ideas, moon sand, there's some small bells for kids. Some of our nonverbal kids like to pick those up and rattle the bells. Touch bins, this is just plastic money with some cornmeal, rice with some, and they just stick their hands in and they get the touch. Again, some sorting. This I made with just some pipe and beads. Again, they can touch it, they can hear it, they can feel it. Again, Zaddy really likes that one. Simon Says, kids like the lights on that one. It was a donation, but it's just a fun one too. We have some light things, and I changed the things in there. Again, they can put their hands in there and touch and feel. They can look, they can turn it on and off. That one's a fun one. We have just music. So one of our guys, I have calming kind of music, and I have 60s rock. We have a kid who really calms down every time he hears 60s rock, so we put it on for him when he's in here. And it's again just trial hit and miss on what kids like and what they don't like. Swing. So this is one of our most popular items, is the swing. We even have somebody who's put in a wiggle seat in there. So the swing's a really important one for us, and these are just sandbags to make sure it doesn't tip. We could not hang it from the ceiling. Maintenance didn't like that, so we bought the stand that went with the swing. And that's good for all kinds of different things. This one's nice because it squishes the kids in, as well as they can hide in there, as well as they get the swing motion. So not only do they get the tactile, but they also get the movement one. Trampoline. Probably the most popular thing, and they really jump on that one, and they get to release energy but also wake themselves up with that one. Tunnel, just to go hide, another spot to hide if they want to hide. Again, an IKEA purchase, not for a lot of money, and they crawl right in there. An old sand table that I made into a tactile one, so what they can do is they can stick their hand in and just feel all kinds of different things in there, and my husband just drilled some holes in the top, and it's just all kinds of different tactile things that they can play with. Again, if somebody's needing a tactile thing. These are called Bilbo Seats. This is for a kid who needs the spin, so they can sit their bum in there and then they can spin. It can fit, if it's me, So it can fit a big kid or a little kid, and for if they need a spinning motion, that's a great one. OTPT gave me this one. So this is a dual purpose. A lot of the times we'll hold it and the kids can punch if they need to punch or hit something. Kick it if they even want to, but also it can be used as a roller. So if a kid needs to have pressure, we can put them on the crash mat over here and apply pressure and let them roll. Just a good old ball, exercise ball, and they just sit on that and bounce. Cozy corner, again, if they just need to have a really quiet space to be. For visual kids, I've bought the bubble lamp. They really like that. They turn the lights off, and we have one boy who will just literally come in for 10 minutes and just sit there and stare at it for 10 minutes, and then he feels better and he's centered and he's ready to go back. Blankets, and then the crash mat. This is an old crash mat I just found in the downstairs basement of the gym that they used to use for high jump. I dragged it up here and cleaned it up and brought it in. So that's probably, yeah, they really, really like that one. Some kids fall asleep on there. Some kids just come and do a big jump and crash on there. I tried to do one kid at a time on there. That's kind of a big one. And then we just have the timer. So they were allowed to have between, the research that I've done says 7 minutes. I let them have between 5 to 10 minutes just because it's a round number for them. They know they come in here, they set their own time, and they go. And what they do is a check-in and a check-out. How are you feeling? Often can't do this till the end. How were you feeling when you came in? Well, I was a red or I was a green. And we have the zones of regulation over there as well. How are you feeling? And then when they check out, they can say, well, I'm feeling good, I'm feeling in the green zone, or they can identify the feeling that they're feeling. So, and then I just put a few different ideas that I've gotten, ways to relax your body, ways to wake up your body, and not many of them use it. I like the mirror too, so they can sort of look at themselves and see what they're doing. There's a few other things, smaller sensory toys for classrooms and things like that I keep in here. But what I do find is that these become toys versus tools. So these are more for classrooms, but there's all kinds of sensory things in here for touch, for smell. So I have smelly markers for kids who really need that. If you notice, a kid is always sort of sniffing and smelling. Sight, this is for flashlights if they need a flashlight. Sound. So there's quite a few different things. It's a bit messy, but the kids get digging in it. Tactile. I actually saw, I need to do something with that. I've got a project. So that, and then over here is actually the actual research that I did, and these are the 6 senses that we use. So there's tactile, and that's cheat sheets, and I can send these to you if you like. Vestibular, which is basically they need movement, they need swinging. Olfactory, that's the smells, tastes. Auditory, precipitation, where they need to be jump, bear hugs, massages, kids who need the squish. And then visual, and that's basically the sensory processing sort of ideas that when I started it.
Fantastic.
That's it, yeah.
And I think a lot of schools don't have the kind of space that you have here to design something like this. Does that mean that they can't take advantage of what this offers learners?
No, I think sensory processing and sensory processing problems can be done in any classroom. You can have a cozy corner in your classroom with just a pillow and a blanket and maybe a small corner. You could have a calm down kit, which Mr. Dubray has in his office with all kinds of different sensory tools inside of it. You could use a small space like a closet or something like that if you need something like a swing. A swing is pretty luxurious, but you can always take a kid out and let them swing if you have an EA with them for a minute or two. Those little Bilbo stools, you could easily have that in your classroom. Very small, very tight. You can have an exercise ball in your classroom as well for a kid to go back there and just jump for a minute on as well. We also have something called green dot spots all around the school. So we've got our green dot spots and their calm down spots, and they're typical places where the children will hide in our school. So they've been all trained that if they're feeling like they need to escape, they can go to the green dot spot and hang out. Again, there's no space needed for that. Just a green dot on the wall with a piece of mat carpet on the floor that they can go and they can hide. And we know, and they can just give their teacher the green dot, and that's where they're going, and we know where they are. So it's used sometimes, but the one I did forget was this. I got this from the OTPT, so this isn't the one. It's called a canoe, and a lot of our kids who need a squish enjoy that one as well. So that's one as well. But I think you could easily do this in classrooms. You can have Christmas lights up, and if a kid needs Christmas lights, they could easily put up Christmas lights. I just bought the bubble thing from Amazon, but I've also seen online where you can just take an old aquarium and put an old aquarium in your classroom with a bubbler, and have an old aquarium in your classroom with a bubbler. Put some rocks in there, maybe it's something on the top so they can't get in, and they can look at an old aquarium in a bubbler. There's no reason you can't do that in your classroom.
And you were telling me before that a lot of the materials that you have, you found sort of in storage.
Yeah, they were. Yeah, the crash mat was just in the basement. The old sand table was in the basement. We actually had a different trampoline, but again, it was just in the basement. These chairs are just from the library that nobody wanted anymore. Some old toys from the old kindergarten classrooms that they didn't want anymore. Even the carpet that somebody didn't want anymore. I've gotten a lot of things donated. People are trying to, clean out their closets. So a lot of like EAs and teachers have donated blankets, donated some stuffies, because believe it or not, they just love the stuff every once in a while to give a squish to. Sure. So a lot of the things have just been found items. Like we had some old exercise balls around, and teachers didn't want them in their room anymore. So I took one, or somebody had one from their house, and so a lot of the things are just found items. Yeah.
And if people have any questions, are they able to contact you? Would you be willing to talk to people about your setup? And how
I've been
it was
debating if I should even do a Pro D on it. But I'm more than happy to have anybody come and visit or talk to me, send me an email. I have a bunch of files. I actually did a lot of hard research on it as well, like because I wanted to make sure that it was like from UNBC, and I did some real journal articles in the School of Psychology on it, because I wanted to make sure that it was sort of legit. I wasn't just putting toys. One of the things that I did start with, though, and I will say was a mistake that I made, was I had toys here first. So I would have like a bin of cars, and I had a bin of Lego, and the kids started seeing this as a space to play in. So that's one of the things that I really have to caution people, is you don't put toys in here, put actual tools like that. What they're coming in here for is not a place to come and play for 10 minutes. It's a space to sort of re-regulate, get my body back so that I can function in the school or in the classroom.
So there must have been some training that went on with...
But the EAs I had to do, it wasn't much. Like I had them in, and they came in for a lunch hour, and we didn't even need the whole hour. We just sort of did exactly what I just did with you, sort of walk them around the room and explain to them what they were. And then as people came in, if I happened to be in here, I would just sort of, hey, why don't you try this, and why don't you try this? But you have to always let the kids sort of explore. When they first come in, they kind of walk around and they find something they like, and sometimes they're doing 20 different things, and you have to let them do that. But what you can do too is then they'll start coming. If they have to come on a regular basis, they can come. And some of our guys, it is scheduled. It's a scheduled time in their day, especially some of our low functioning autism kids. They need this every day, and it's scheduled in. Others, it's just a drop-in basis. So yeah.
Thanks so much, Kris.
Yeah, no problem.